Here we're going to look at topic 4, example 3, rewrite a formula. A worker at a framing store is making a rectangular frame. He knows that the perimeter of the frame is 144 inches and the length is 40 inches. How can he determine the width of the frame? Alright, so anytime you're looking at perimeter, we want to use the perimeter formula. You have two options. So perimeter is equal to either 2 times length plus width, or you could say perimeter is equal to 2 length plus 2 width, 2L plus 2W. Depends on whether you distribute or not. Both of them work. So for this specific problem, I'm going to use this formula here. So we're talking about literal equations here, and we're trying to determine the width of the frame. We know what the perimeter is. We know what the length is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate W. All right, so I have the equation P is equal to 2L plus 2W. So I need to get W by itself, and that means I need to move or remove this 2L and this 2 are going to have to be moved to the opposite side of the equation. So the 2L isn't too bad. I can just subtract 2L. No, it's not a T. Now remember, these are unlike terms, so this would just be P minus 2L is equal to 2W. And then we would divide both sides by 2, and that would allow us to get W by itself. Again, I can't really do anything with this left side. All right, that's a lot of unlike terms. I'm not going to reduce those 2's because there's not a 2 in every term, so I'm just going to leave that as is. And I'm going to rewrite this with the W on the left side. Again, is this 100% necessary? No, you could plug numbers in and solve, but I've mentioned this in the previous videos, if you know you're looking for a specific variable, sometimes it is easier to isolate that variable. Or if you know you're going to have to find that variable multiple times, maybe you have to find it 4 or 5 or 6 times, within a certain system or problem or whatever it is, it would be easier if you can get that variable by itself. All right, it becomes an incredibly useful skill, especially when graphing. If you're able to isolate y, it allows you to use a graphing calculator much more user-friendly. You're going to need to get y by itself. So understanding how to isolate a variable becomes a very critical skill throughout your mathematical education. So again, we have W is equal to P minus 2L divided by 2, and we're going to now solve for the width. So I'm going to take my equation, I'll rewrite it, and I'm going to plug in the numbers that I know. Well, I'm trying to solve for W. I know that P is 144, right? They tell me that. So the perimeter is going to be 144. So I do 144 minus 2. I like to put anything I substitute in parentheses. It just makes it easier. Something wrong with my iPad today. And then L, we know that the length is 40 inches. So we're going to replace L with the number 40. And then we can just simplify this. All right, we can subtract, we can multiply, we can divide, whatever we have to do, just follow the order of operations. So W would be equal to 144 minus 80 divided by 2. 144 minus 80 would be 64 divided by 2, and then W would be 32. So the question, how can you determine the width of the frame? We would isolate W, and then we would solve for W equals 32. So we could say the width is 32. They give us a unit, inches. So the width is 32 inches. So once again, you could have done this without isolating W, but sometimes that gets kind of messy. So if you have the variable isolated and you rewrite the formula, it does at times make it a lot easier for you.